Hey everyone, Egman here with another video. Today we're going to talk about like the 4 events that technically happened this last weekend. Sorry this is coming out so late. There's just so much info to compile, and I'm still short some info, but I just decided, let's just get all this info out here. And a couple caveats before I start. One, thank you so much to Mark Hill, DBS Decks, Dirt City Gym, and Scott Slater for getting this info, compiling it, making it easy for me to copy and paste it, that kind of stuff. It's super helpful. We've got especially check out DBS Decks, their meta tracker. This has all the decks here. And it's also broken down by category. So if you want to see a top placing deck with a specific leader with specific archetype, this is a perfect place to go to it. I think this is really handy and will help people out a lot. So there's that. And then also Scott had his own docs as well, and it shows kind of the leaders that were present at an event, and then ratios and that kind of stuff. It's kind of like percentage of the field or that kind of stuff. So, and then also, who got in top 16. So, really, really helpful there. When I'm making this video, he only has the Columbus ones, so I have those pinned down there. If you want the Montreal ones, I think he's working on those, so I'll make sure those are added there as well. But that's helpful information too. And let's jump into last thing. Actually no, never mind. We're just gonna go through it. So we have so many events. So each event had about 50 players at it. There were 2 opens, 2 invites in Montreal and Columbus. And the exception is, I believe, the Columbus invite was almost 100 players. So there's that. Each tournament broke it down into top 16. But that doesn't represent how many people got invites. To be honest, I really don't know how invites actually worked. I think there are a lot of people who are still confused about that. And if you want me to make a video, I just want to make a deck overview video for this. If you want me to go into more of what my thoughts and feelings are about this whole tournament series, let me know and I'll make that a whole separate video. If you want me to talk about that today, well, sorry. So, but we've got all these events. All of them went into Top Cut, and then there was, and then you got placing from there. But I think the Swiss was based off how many people showed up, and then Swiss standings, not Top Cut standings. I don't know. I really don't know. So, but all these decks are great. All of them performed well, and there's that. And so, over these 4 events, we had 17 unique leaders, which is outstanding. We're going to look at this big old pie chart here. This is just enormous, like how much variety there is. I think a lot of people are kind of complaining about kind of like prize support, but like this is secretly probably like the best meta we've ever had. So I think the game is in the good place. It just sucks that people don't think the competitive stuff's in a good place, but a lot of variety. This is super uplifting. I don't think, like, if you look at like any other card game, I think this kind of variety is just like the holy land. So it's really cool that this happened. I don't know exactly what players place like win-loss records are, or just because since the top 16 is a huge cut, especially for like 50 players, so that's like more than a fourth of the players get in the top 16. I know like for some events there are like people who are X2 and made it, so that might be like a little bit diluted as it comes to just how results panned out. But I think this is still a super good meta, and I think this is still kind of, I don't think this is an exception. I think this is kind of what it's going to be like, and probably going to be like until set 7 comes out next month. So okay, cross your fingers, don't mess this up, Bandai. So other than that, so I didn't want to I wanted to sleep sometime today, and so I'm not doing all 64 decks because that would be ludicrous. What I decided to do instead was that since we had 17 leaders and I usually review like 16 decks or so, I decided to just choose one deck from each leader and just go over it. So here's all the ones I picked. What event they're from. I really just looked at the ones I liked and just picked those. So if you got your name on here, congrats, you won the I liked your deck lottery. So this will be, I'm going to go over those now, and also if people have any videos for any of these deck lists, please let me know and I'll put them on here as well. This whole spreadsheet is going to be in the description if I didn't already say that. But if I'll continue to update it throughout the week when I get more information. But if there are any videos, I think these videos going over your own deck list is way better than this schmuck from Kansas kind of looking at your deck and saying how it probably went down. So I like to include those when I can, and I think that's going to be it. So let's jump into our first deck list. So we're going to go through Kid Q first. No, not that one. Silly me. So we're gonna go through. 2 for 0 for 2. All right. So this is Thomas Higgins, his Kid Q. There were there were a lot of Kid Qs to look through, so I really had to choose one that I really felt strongly about, and I really like this one just because it felt like it had a lot of options and had a lot of cool things going on. Maybe I could see this not having a lot of consistency, but the idea that this could be a really aggressive deck on the game one, and then if he can afford to go control-y, it has Gogeta on the side. It has a couple of these Vegetas and Gokus that you can use, and it's blue yellow. And I really do think blue yellow is like the best colors for Kid Q, just because it has so much options. Sensu Bean's a great card for it. Battering Laser, when you have like a big 30k that you can give double strike, I think that's the right call. Running 4 Dragon Balls I think is the minimum that you should run, so that's good. So 4 Dragon Balls and 4 Gokus there. Just in general, just a really strong deck. And I think the side decks is pretty nice too. These Bardock's against Green Broly, probably one of the worst matchups. Frieza biding his time, I'd be interested to know what it was for specifically. Off the top of my head, I could see like it can help with like the Slug matchup, but there's probably other things I'm not thinking of right now. But probably like the blue Goku. Yeah, the blue Goku that stops 2 or less from attacking, probably, sure. But I think this is a really good side deck, and also, yeah, he put Mutaito in the main, and I think right now, I think Mutaito, based on what I've seen, and not necessarily playing that much in this meta, just because, once again, stuck in Kansas. But there is, what is it? I think Mutaito is worth it in the main. Worst case, he's just like a combo or just yellow energy. So there's just a bunch of things that this card can hit. Especially like Hada Mastery, of course, is like the main one people think of, but like a lot of Overwhelm. I think people are kind of running more Overwhelm than usual right now, so just being able to like stop Overwhelm for 1 energy is fantastic, so you can kind of go even with that, and a lot of other stuff. So really cool deck, really like this. I think it's a solid build. And also, I saw Kraken's FaceTime. I pretty much was like, okay, I gotta use this one. So I think this is a cool card, and it's a fun tech card for this, is because it becomes a 30k double strike on leader that you can also battering. I think that's absurd. So good card there, and that's about it. I think this, once again, super solid, and I'd be interested to see how well he did with this. So next up, we're going to go to Yellow Broly. Once again, this is probably like this, as we go down, it was easier for me to pick a leader to represent this category, especially since some of these leaders only had 1 deck, so that was super easy. But Yellow Broly was kind of tricky. They were all Hada Mastery builds, so I guess that was a little bit easier to choose from. So I decided to choose Jose Mercado's deck. It really was because he ran this Swift Retaliation Cooler. I thought that was a really interesting tech call, but I wonder if he really did play this at all. But it's like another counter, but you have to play 3 energy for it. It seems kind of weird, but I don't know. I'd be interested to see how many times he actually pulled it off. But this deck looks super solid and really consistent too, in the sense that he's running like this Bardock Awakened Instincts. I think is a good card. Being able to dig 2 for 1 is fantastic. So the only thing I could see this card having an issue with is you have to have cards in your Overrealm, and that can be hard. Gina, I think, can help you a lot with that. So there's that. It's also running some Planet Vegetas, which I don't think people are running right now. So I think there's enough Saiyans in here that it really helps out that whole matchup. It's also running. It was a little bit weird. It's running a Toki Toki Time Creator, but the only thing it can find is Time Control Cronoa. So why not just run a 3rd Cronoa? Just especially since there's nothing in the side for it to Toki Toki into, but. I thought that was an interesting choice. I don't really know why that happened, but there's that. He's running 2 Pure Hard Sengoku and 2 Shugesh, which I think is a good ratio right now, especially going first. Or like, especially game 1, having Shugesh is pretty good. Not some people were running Cronoa, and it kind of was like based on the archetype, but I don't think everyone was running Cronoa main deck, so I think it was fine in that regard. And the only weird thing is that he also put the Marshall. What was it? So I think Cold Bloodlust was in the side, which I think is fine. I don't think you really need Cold Bloodlust in the main. I think it's more matchup dependent. But he also put the Marshall Meisters in the side. I don't think that was necessarily a super good call. Maybe it could be great for just getting out of your overwhelm stuff. I'm not really sure why they were there. Maybe this deck can have like some aggro potential. So potentially, if you feel like the only way you can win with this deck is to actually go for Hydra Master Victory Strike, I could see that being helpful there. 3 Mercenary Tau for hand destruction, some Crisis Crusher Goku, and Trunks Power Overseeing Time. I probably would try to bump this up to 2, but you're also running Planet Vegeta, so it's easy to find this, so it's not like terrible. I also am a little bit surprised that there are no minus Killy zones in this deck, just because Mutaito can't get around minus Killy zones. So I wonder if he regretted that at all. But really, once again, Hydra Mastery Broly is just a super strong deck, and you can be really creative with the cards you kind of put in there. So I thought this was a good example of this. And once again, this deck can also go aggressively. I think Mira is great. If you could fit in 2, I think that would be a little bit more consistent, just so you can do like being able to do like 3 damage almost guaranteed, especially if you have the battering. That feels really good. But yeah, I think all this is a fun deck, and I really do want to know if he was able to run do a cooler or not. But there is that, and let's next go to Janemba. So this was I think there were of the 7 Janemba. How many were there? Yeah, of the 7 Janemba, 5 of them were mono blue and 2 of them were multicolor. And so I don't feel like the multicolor ones get enough look at. So this is Alexander Shooks, sorry, Janemba, and he runs the multicolor stuff. I think it's super good to have the yellow is fantastic right now because you can run Mutaito, right? I think that's a good call. And these multicolor cards aren't too terrible in that regard. I also think he did a right call of not running 12 super combos. I think you're only running the Infernal Villainy Cell. I think it's a good call because you're gonna have a lot of of these 10k combos stuck in your hand, and if you can't untap because of Tau, you just have a bunch of dead cards in hand. So I think this was a really good call. And then also Bojack Pirate's Pride I think is a great card too. Being able to just a one energy counter, which also can be a combo card, but also can help your mill potential, all that seems good to me. And I think he's definitely running the I don't know what I'm talking about, I'm just crazy. He definitely has the 12 super combos. If he didn't, I think it would have been okay, because once again I think cards can get stuck in your hand with Tau right now. But I don't know. I'm just silly. I'm already getting tired. I'm only on deck 3. Jeez. Real quick look at the side. So Mercenary Tau, definitely a necessity. And then he's running Toki Tokis, some time control, no escapes on Goku and Kami. People were afraid of the UI bouncing. I'm pretty sure, so that's why no escapes on Goku is there, just because that card is a little bit kind of dead for that idea. Ready Stance on Goku, just a good negate. 2 Mafuba in the side. I would like to see 1 in the main, but I think 2 in the side are fine, especially since I'm pretty sure you'd side out Xenobot in game 2 every time. I wouldn't think this card would be stuck in it would stay in your deck game 2 or 3. So there's that, and also Group Leader Pilaf, which is kind of like the Beerus, but it's counter attack. So I think Beerus would be kind of dead in hand. Once again, kind of talk about all these 10Ks you got. So I think it's okay with not having him there, but definitely Beerus is stronger than Pilaf. But Pilaf is more flexible, so there is that. So that's Alexander's deck, and next move to the Shenron deck. So I don't actually know this player's name. It wasn't on the deck list. So his Bandai name is Papa Vanilla. So thank you, Papa Vanilla. He has, ironically, just like a really vanilla build of blue yellow Shenron. I think this is just all of the Shenrons. I think all of them were all of them were Gogeta, and one of them might have been Victory Strike, but I wanted to go with Gogeta since this was the only deck that kind of ran that. So, except for, I guess Kid Ku, did it as well. But we've got so blue yellow is the idea for this deck. I think that's really the way to go with this. Just the flexibility you get. Being able to run Personal Ambition is fantastic. Being able to run Battering is great. Being able to run Mutaido is super duper good right now. And all of that. So the basic idea for this deck is that you ramp up to turn 5, and then you use Gogeta to go into on turn 5 to bring him out. Then you can use your third wish to give him triple attack. Also, if you also had Shenron out already, you can give it crit as well. So just a lot of power and everything like that. At all costs, Vegeta can be and also Ultimate Fusion Gogeta can also be alternative win conditions. So that's fantastic. Being able to be flexible and run Chrono in the main, I think, is great. Just a super solid deck. We've seen this time and time again over the last couple weeks, that Gogeta is kind of slowly creeping back for real this time. So I think this is a great deck, very flexible, and can really just win. It's one of like a better kind of mid-range control deck, or combo deck. So there's that. In the side, there's just Flying Nimbus. I think Nimbus in the side is the right choice. I don't feel like a lot of decks are really aggressively pushing right now. So being able to, if in case you do play against one of those decks, Nimbus on the side is fantastic, but I don't think it's a main deck staple in any regard. Crisis Crushers are really good. Being able to pop like the 1-drop like Whis and Borgos, I think that can be a troubling card for this deck. So there's that. And then Tenshinhan just for all those blue decks running around. So I think this deck is super solid. Nothing crazy, but it does the thing it wants to do very, very well. And I think this is a good template for anyone who wants to build this deck. So thank you very much, Papa Vanilla. Next up, we've got Pan. So this is Daniel Buchanan, I believe is how you say your last name. So there are quite a few Pan decks, actually. Kind of like the bob and weave that Pan likes to do. There are 5 across the 4 events that were able to hit top 16. I decided to choose this one because I liked the... there are a couple things. One, it was red-green, which I think is really cool for this deck, especially since I think being able to use a rival with Pan is fantastic. Being able to use this and go into... like if you combo 2 cards and then you can play this for free, pay this for 1 on your opponent's turn, then you get the boost from Pan and all that other stuff. I think that's all very good and very helpful. Both these guys can cost 1 energy, which is great. And then also the new Trunks from the anniversary box. Just a lot of like generic, like small support that's been popping up over the last couple weeks. So I think that's fantastic. And then also in the side, so they ran Zeno on the side, which I think is a good call, especially since you're kind of running a lot of like red and green already. You don't want to like have more dead cards, I guess. So I think that is good. And then also being able to run, what else is there? There's Father, Son, Kamehameha, which I think is great for blowing stuff up when you need to. Son Goku in close quarters. This can be great at blowing up your opponent's like path. I think it might be a little bit superfluous with Zeno out, but I think it's a good idea. So I like that. A single minus Killer Zone to go with the one you have in the main. 2 Cronoa, 2 Shinhan, and 2 Bardock fully unleashed. So I think this is really great. If anything, I think the one thing I would maybe change is maybe instead of these Trunks, I maybe would put like the crit Gohans, but maybe you're using a little bit too much Self Awaken. I'm not sure. I think having more Self Awaken than 4 though in your deck might be optimal. So I think the Gohan might be a little bit more powerful, especially since you'd be able to have, when you swing, play on turn 1 and swing, it's a 20k crit, which is obnoxious to get around. So I think that would be like the only change I made. But I think in general this deck is solid, has a lot of power and a lot of flexibility too. So not super surprised Pan came back around, just because Zeno is still really good when it really works. But and I think this Bardock Awakened Instinct is a fantastic card for the deck. I think it really opens up a lot for consistency. Being able to play this card for 0 energy and draw 3, discard 1. That's absurd. So a lot of support there, and I think it's cool. So congrats to Daniel. Next up, we've got Green Broly. This is actually really tough to choose which one I like the most, just because they are all super duper similar. You can't do like a lot of variety with this deck, just because you're kind of stuck with like a 40 card list and going from there. But I thought this deck was a little bit more unique with its ratios, and I want to go over it. So most of all the Broly chains there, they're running 4 Broly control mechanisms, which I think is I think you can go with 1 less. I think having 3 is fine, especially with 4 Paragus Rampage Trigger, but you will definitely see it with off 2-drop Paragus, so no need to worry there. What else is there? In the main, some I guess unique choices I saw. One is the Infernal Emperor Frieza. I think this is cool for being able to ping yourself for exactly 1 life. If you have like the 8-drop Broly and you need to kind of go down by 1, I think this is a good way to do it. Since you're running Frieza's Call already, I think that's fine. So there's that. You're running also 1 Paragus Sacrifice. I think that's fine. If anything, I'd probably take a Broly control mechanism for 2 Paragus, but I know this card's like super expensive still. So there's that. Being able to find space for Mutaito in the main, I think, is fantastic. Once again, if you're running yellow already, I don't think there's any. If you've got space, definitely run this card if you own it. It does a lot of stuff for a lot of decks. It's great for the mirror, and then also worst case, you can just combo it away too, right? It's just a free 5k. So and that's the same kind of thing with Roshi, right? So there's that. Other than that, I think this is a solid build. And then in the side, I don't know how I feel about full power energy. I don't think the deck that does too much. I think Shocking Death Ball does everything you need and more. And then Flying Nimbus, 2 of those, I think that can be okay. Some Godly Destruction Whis and stuff. I don't know. I'm not super good at side deck building. That's probably my biggest weakness as a deck builder. But so I'm not sure how I feel about this though. A Preemptive Strike can do a lot too, but you gotta have 2 green energy and a green yellow deck that can be kind of steep. I don't know. I'd like to see how Nathaniel thought about his side deck. But with a deck like this that's so linear, it's hard to make side deck choices. But I think the main deck for sure is super great. And I would definitely want a discussion about side deck stuff. I don't know Green Broly side deck stuff at all. So I might just be an idiot. So let's next go up to a Toa deck. Really happy that Toa is taking off. This was a leader that I saw, and I think I've said this time and time again. I think Toa is great. I think what it can do is great, and really the deck it builds around it. There's just so much options, and the only thing I think was limiting me was not knowing what the meta would be. Right? If a bunch of War Martial Arts stuff started appearing, how do you side into that for Toa, right? And so since this is kind of a somewhat control deck, you have to really side and main cards that promote that playstyle. So I think this is a fantastic deck for what the current meta is. And really, to be honest, the meta is more or less similar to what it was before this. These cards came out, so it wasn't a super difficult call to make, but I really like all these cards, and I definitely think this Son Goku The Adventure Begins is a fantastic card to run in this deck. I think people kind of sleep on this card, but just the fact that it's a draw 1, at least it's a guaranteed draw 1, if not more. And on a leader that can sometimes have some card advantage issues, all that recursion and recycle can help you out immensely. So I think that's a fantastic choice. It's only going to get better next set when we have a black vanilla card, but and once again, this kind of has some reminiscence of the deck that I made last week. So I think it's really cool to see that there are a lot of similarities there. And I think this deck is definitely the better version of the two, at least meta wise. I think mine might be a bit cheesier, but I think the idea of having Son Goku is great, and all the tech choices, like having more than enough of these Dimensional Banisher, Fu, and Mass Stay and Mysterious Warrior, I think is a good call. Only having 6 Toa, I think, is a great number, and then also finding room for Demigra, Darkness, Beyond Darkness. I would be curious to see if he would have wanted to run an extra mirror. Also, this is Sam Sylvester. I don't know if I said that. So this is Sam's deck. I wonder if he wanted a fourth one of these. I had issues sometimes where I couldn't find, like, I milled all these out of my deck, and since the 5-drop needs it, but I guess he's also running the 3-drop, so you don't need it in your deck, so that's probably fine, actually. He probably was okay with that. Let's see, Vegeta Time Regulator, super great card. He's probably, sold a Victory Strike for all these or something. So I think that's the only thing that's preventing people from playing this deck, is just how expensive Vegeta is. So let me see how much. We're gonna have a quick aside. Let's go on a trip. Let's see. How much is Vegeta Time Regulator right now? Let's see. He is $50, and there is a single one at TCG Player. All right then. I expect this to go down in price as the month goes on, just because there will be more events where these are given out. But yeah, right now he's really impossible to find and to have. So that really sucks. I don't think he's needed for this deck, but he definitely makes the deck better. So all that. I think that's going to be it for that. Side deck minus Killer Zone, I think, is definitely needed. The Heavenly Wizard Demigra for the Broly matchup is fine. Mercenary Tau, I think, is a definitely needed card. If not, you should run at least 2, if not 3 of these. Haru can just make some matchups really easy and let you go aggressive, which this deck doesn't really do. So that's cool. And then also some Tien Shinhan Returning Fire. So I think this is a fantastic deck. I think Toa is here to stay for a while, and I think that's groovy. So next up, we've got a Piranha deck. So this is Zach Steffen's Piranha. All of them were Height of Mastery builds, which makes sense to me. And I really did like, let's see, this build. So the idea for this deck is turn 3, just hard cast this, and then usually you can untap an energy with Personal Ambition, just so you have something open for defense. And then you can, next turn go into High Mastery, and then also use your wish, your 4th wish, to go into a Bulma, so you can untap 2 energy, or 1 energy if they have like a, what is it? What are the names? Borgos are Whis out, and then you just pay the 1 energy, go into Son Goku. So I think this is great for doing that. The only thing I would say might be tricky is that if there's 2 things. One, if Victory Strike is in your life, then you just lose. I think you have some options, but something that I've been doing is I've been running the 4-drop Shenron instead of Bulma. Just the fact that it does pretty much the same thing, because you use it on turn 4, but additionally you're able to have the flexibility of, instead giving Height of Mastery crit. I think that's fantastic. So that would be the only thing. I don't think any one of them were doing that, so that would be just an Egman change, I guess, that I'd make. But I think Explore Bulma is fine. Once again, having Mutaito in the main, I think, is great. Dangerous Journey Bulma is good. Time Control Cronoa, Crisis Crusher, Bardock. A lot of just like hate cards for like generic meta stuff, and then you can go more fully sided into this. So since this is more of a like an inconsistent skill, or like inconsistent RNG deck a little bit, just because you have to find the Victory Strike, giving yourself some options to win hard matchups on turn 1 or on game 1, I think is the right call. So having like some of these like just like in the deck, I think is good. And then also Universe 7 Representative, I think is fantastic, just to dig deep. I think with between the what you have 4, 4, and 4, so you have 12 cards and 2 more. So I think you have enough targets for finding that. Once again, I think the only thing I'd say that you'd be missing is either some self-awakening in case Victory Strike is in your life, or I think Shenron might be a little bit better just because you can do, give your Height Mastery crit, which can win the game sometimes. So other than that, solid archetype and very cool. So congrats to Zach. Next up, we've got Slug. There were 2 Slugs. I choose this one. This was Mark Tyner's. I thought it was cool, and I liked some of the picks he made. So some of the more weird picks that occurred. One, I don't know if I think it's hit or miss if you do double impact Krillin in the main, but I think it's a great card right now. There's so many things that you can blow up anyways, so I don't think it can be dead too often. Then also 2 Paragraphs to Sacrifice. I think this was an interesting card, but just the fact that you're able to I think the idea with it is that it can have some recursion, but also like this Lord Slug, you really want to find some Angelic Warrior Angela, and if you only have 1, you can pop your Angela and then use Lord Slug if you haven't already this turn to pay 1 green energy and bring it back. So I think that's great for that kind of recursion and that stuff going on, especially since a lot of these cards can be kind of dead after they attack. So being able to use Paragus to kind of draw a card and get some more value off of cards you've already attacked with, I think is good. That's really the tech choice I really liked from there. Really solid build right now. Also, and then the 8-drop Fu Dark Banisher. This card's fantastic in kind of any hand destruction deck, just because it just pushes for the win very, very well. I'd try to put 2 of this in your deck if you could, but I think 1 is still okay. You just might not see it every game. Looking at the side deck, another Krillin, another Preemptive Strike, some minus Killy Zones. Minus Killy Zone I think is really important against some stuff, so that's good. Some Mercenary Towel for the for the Mirror Match. 2 Christ Crusher, some Haru Haru, and Dimensional Banisher Fu. I think you could also, I don't know, I think Mercenary Towel's fine, but I think Tien I thought about maybe would be a good card, but you probably already do enough hand destruction against those decks. That's not really necessary. So solid deck. I think Slug is one of my favorite rogue decks, so I'm happy it did well this weekend as well. All right, we're going into the one of. So we've got David Olding's Red Frieza. It's pretty much the Red Frieza that showed up as soon as Clash of Fates came out, but the some differences is that it has some of these loyal Kikino, which can be good, and also I think the being able to run like red yellow and putting in Mutaito in the side can be fantastic, or not in the side, in the main is fantastic. Once again, Mutaito's great card. Should not have been put in World Martial Arts, but whatever. And just being how much flexibility he has, and being able to just crush your ball but better a lot of the time is just a really great card. So there's all of that. Really standard after that. This is a really standard kind of a straightforward build. So in the side, there's 2 paralysis techniques, a Kami, some No Escape, some Goku, some Time Control Kronoa, some Toki Toki, some Mercenary Tau, some Trunks of Power Overseeing Time Dimension by Ashifu. Quick aside, I don't know why no one's running Dende. There's so many Shenron ramp decks that I'm really surprised no one put Dende in their side. I bet it would have been kind of helpful, but I think this is a really, and I wouldn't say like generic, but I think it's a good side for a lot of matchups that would be seen. So that is that. Next up, we are seeing a single yellow, Trader Dende? Is that what people are calling it? I guess so. But this is Maverick Steel's version of it. I think this is looking really similar to what happened at the ARG Invitational. But this is still a solid build, being able to run the new cards like Diffuse Dark Banisher for some pressure to end the game, just because you have once again so much hand control. Hand destruction, especially since you get to actually look at their hand and see what they have, being able to say, oh, they don't have any negates, I can just play Fu and then do like a bunch of damage for free. That feels really good. And that other than that, really solid build. One star balls. People jump between one or two, so that's some variety. I think the only thing I would say is that there's no Mutaito in the main, and maybe that's because they only had one. But this deck doesn't need it as much just because it already plays cards, and you know from there. So you know what you play from there. I think the only other card I'd think about adding is like a Demigra, like the secret rare. But I think having Fu is better. Being able to run 2 and play these on 4 is better than Demigra on 5. So I think that's okay. And then Dende knew the job as soon as I say, oh, no one runs him. So yeah, solid build. I also like these Vegetas on the side because if you're playing like against Tide of Mastery Broly, you can just play Clanterra, Mecha Frieza, bring down their bring down their path, and then you just play Vegeta and blow it up. So I think that's a great combo. I think the only thing I would maybe add is maybe trying to find some room for minus Killy Zone, but I don't think it's super necessary. So that's it for this great deck, and I'm actually kind of surprised there's only one that made top, but I don't think I think it was strictly because people weren't playing it as often, not as much as other decks. I don't think people played this deck, which is why there weren't many tops. But I think it's still a strong deck in this meta. So there's that. Ooh boy, a Cheelai and Lemo deck. I have to cover this one. So this is Brian Reed's Cheelai and Lemo deck. He also did an interview on Crossworld TCG, so that's the one video link I have right now. But this is a really cool deck, and I'm not going to say like I've thought about this, like say, oh, this is my idea or anything like that. But I remember seeing someone say, oh, 7-drop Piercing and then 8-drop Broly and then Pegasus Sacrifice, that can be really good in this deck. And I'm like, yes, the only thing I would say is tough about that is it's really, really hard to get down to 1 life exactly with this leader, just because you can't self-awaken. But apparently he was able to do it pretty consistently, and there's that. So that's cool to know. The idea for this deck is you just really control. You just play really slow. You also you play slowly. You can use yellow, Cold Bloodlust, to kind of slow down your opponent, and then on turn 4, you play Plea for Salvation for free, get out this 4-drop. You use this to draw 2 cards, go into the 7-drop for free, and then you still have like 4 energy open, which is absurd. And you can just pressure them from there, and then you can pop the 7-drop with the 1-drop Paragus, which you can also find for free with your leader. So in case you do. In case you just hardcast Plea for Salvation, you play this draw to play this, and then for your 7th wish, play Paragus, and then maybe like the super combo, and just really go from there. So I think this is a really cool deck. I think the only thing that this deck can kind of lose to is I'd be interested to see how much like win potential it had outside of the combo. I feel like people kind of would play into this and then go off. So there is that. I think Kite Wish in the side is an interesting choice, but I don't think it's the wrong choice. I think also Foreshocking, but that ball really helps you awaken there, so that can be really helpful. What else is there? What else? I guess you can use. I'd say like the only other way you can go off with this is that you can use like the 1-drop Broly and then use like Wrathful Charge to blow it up. So maybe that has some merit to doing that, just because that would help get your life down faster. But I don't know. Yeah, I think the only card I would say would be a good add to this is the 7-drop, or is the Fu Banisher guy. Just because being able to have Fu out and this Piercing Sun Gohan is fantastic. You have 3 swings, and they can't really combo with any of them. And if they negate, they have to drop a card as well. So I feel like that can be really powerful, especially with being able to run Bad Ring in the deck. So I'd say that's the only card I'd miss. And then additionally, if you don't have like the 8-drop combo, you should just put the Fus in there. I think that can be good there. But really interesting deck. Please watch the interview with Brian if you want to know more about it. And let's next go to Mr. Dashie's, Scott Dashie's announcer deck. This was really cool to see. I'm happy he did well with this. So I think this deck is really cool in a lot of ways. So a couple of things. So one, there are two kind of win conditions. You can either do the 4-drop Bobbity, which you use into the 5 drops, and then you just have these big triple strike boys that can't be destroyed. And I don't think they can activate blocker. Is that what? I don't remember what the Bobbity does. Let's see. All right, Bobbity says, yeah, so they can't be KO'd if they get brought out with Bobbity. And then Vegeta, yeah, you can't activate blocker when you play Vegeta. And then you can also run some bad ring lasers. So just a lot of like good stuff going on. So being able to have like these, and then if you use your awakened plus boost, then you have like some 40k boys that have triple strike and they can't block, and then if you can't also do anything else, I don't know. There's just like a lot of power in this win condition, but there's also a lot of power in the Vegeta Jr. and Son Goku Jr. just because they essentially have dual attack. And so the idea is that you can play these guys on turn 4, you can boost them with announcer, and then they just have like a bunch of attack boosts, and it can be really annoying there. So that's cool. I think you try to get to turn 5, which is why you run objection, just so you have some energy open for some stuff and that stuff. So and then you also run some yellow for Mutaido. Your super combo can be yellow, which is, I think, one of the cooler things about this martial arts stuff is that your super combo can be any color, and you use that to kind of tech into what colors you want, so it's not like a dead card, but you can also splash extra colors there. One Master Roshi, Martial Meister. I think this was an interesting call, just for the fact that it's yellow, and then also you're able to self-awaken for one, or you can take 2 of your own life with this card, so I think that's cool. What else? The new Dende is absurd, being able to find any piece you need for this combo, any of your combos really. Boo can be good, especially since it summons itself on your opponent's turn, so you can get an extra draw from announcer. Same with his play-by-play pro, and then also King Piccolo Limitless Powered, being able to just drop an extra double strike out of nowhere is great. So there's that. And there we go. I'd be interested to see a video from Scott Dash. I think he's making one if he hasn't already made one. So hopefully he does that. I think the deck is cool. There are a couple choices. I'd be wondering. I'd be curious in what he did or didn't make. Like I think East Kai could be really helpful, especially when you have like your double strike crit boys, and then or not, like your dual stack crit. And what else? I think Awakening Talent Panda was another card, but I think it's okay in the side if you're playing against a deck that doesn't awaken you a lot. Minus Killing Zone in the side makes sense. An extra Bad Ring, like being able to run Bad Ring in like these big boy decks, I think is fantastic. So all of that, and then also the Goku Oobs in the side. I think this is a really good card, and especially since you can, if you do the boost with announcer. So really cool deck. I'm happy he was able to top 16 with it, and there we go. So next up we've got the video game promo Gogeta by David Zhao. So this is I thought this was really cool. This is more or less this kind of looks like a pan deck that just changed leaders. There are a lot of specific things that changed, but I think this is a great deck for a chain attack Trunks leader, especially since you can awaken earlier than your opponent, and then also the awakened side can do just a bunch of stuff, especially since it has double strike, which is really powerful. I think it can pressure down your opponent a lot. And yeah, I don't really have too much to say about this. This is just like the chain attack Trunks deck that does well. I think this Fortune Teller Baba is great, especially since you're able to, when you combo with it, you're able to give something minus 5k, and then you can use your leader to pop something that was 15k, but now it's 10k. I think that's a good call. I think the only thing I would say differently I would do is instead of Time Patrol Trunks, maybe the better card would be the Bardock that draws 2, drops 1. I guess Time Patrol Trunks you're still able to just look at top 2 anyways, so it's not a big deal there, and it's also Earthling, so you get it off your option. I guess never mind. Time Patrol Trunks is probably a fine pick there. One Planet M2, I'd probably would put 1 or 2 more in the side. Maybe take out one of these Tien Shinhans for that. I think Planet M2 can be really great in like the Son Goku matchup. So there's that. Other than that, super solid. I probably would maybe try to find room for minus Killing Zone, 1 or 2 minus Killing Zone in the main, just because that can be A lot of decks run like Cold Bloodless in the main too, so I think it's a good card no matter what. Worst case, it just recycles itself. Yeah, solid deck, and very cool for that. So last 3 decks we've got. So we've got Oob. This is something that I've been thinking was one of the stronger decks in World Martial Arts Tournament. Just the Oob stuff in general, and then also this is James French's deck, and also having the potential for the Son Goku Path to Infinite, and the side having Ultra Instinct, so being able to do that combo on the side is great. Because I think based on what a lot of people are telling me in my own experience is that the Pan Hercule combo is strong enough as it is for most matchups, and then if you need, and there are only a couple matchups where Ultra Instinct is preferred, so it's good to have that option when you need it. But I think having the Pan Hercule main deck, I think, is the stronger option there. So cool to see that. Nothing too crazy. Most of this I feel is pretty straightforward. I think Dark Banisher Fu is once again a great finisher card. So when you already have all these attacks out, and then if you just play Fu and they just the fact that Fu's on the board and they can't activate counters without dropping another card, I think is good. But just additionally being able to have like 5-6 attacks, I think that's really good. So other than that, pretty self-explanatory, strong deck, and I'd say and once the Vidals become more affordable, I think more people will try this out. So that's kind of what I've been feeling like. I feel like there are a lot of cool World Martial Arts decks, and they're just not affordable right now, so people aren't playing them as much. That's just an opinion. That's based off no facts. So, but I think this is a cool deck, and shoutouts to James. So next up, we've got the Crit God, the Mass Saiyan. This is Frank Whitebean's Mass Saiyan build. I think this is a great build. It's red, black, but also has the potential to do Chain Attack Zeno, which is really cool. Yeah, it's just really aggressive, really in your face. And I think just the cards that I was able to get in Kraken Space Time, I think is fantastic. And being able to just go from there. So I think 4 Zeno is maybe a bit too crazy, but I don't think it's terribly crazy. It's the good kind of crazy. And yeah, everything else is really self-explanatory. I wonder if 8 double strikes is too many. I could see maybe taking 1 out for some flex, but I don't think it's absurd anyway. Yeah, Kraken Space Time just reinvented this deck in a lot of ways. So it's cool to see that it did well this weekend as well. And lastly, we've got the good old boy, the Hirudegarn, the blue-red, the goo Hirudegarn. What year is this? This is 2018. Yeah, this is just really a standard deck that has been played a while ago, and I think this really just shows how powerful Chain Attack Zeno can be in this current meta. I'd be curious to see what his actual record was. I don't know what. This is Dakota Hawks, by the way, in the Columbus Open. But this can just be, once again, a strong deck, being able to put pressure with Intensifying Power Trunks, with a lot of the card draw you get, and all that. So there was not the newest card in here is literally nothing. Nothing is new in this. None of these cards were released this year, which is really funny to see. In the side deck, there are some more newer cards like the Konoas and the Supreme Cry of Time and My Skilly Zone, which I think are all good. But it is really interesting to see that this looks like a deck that came out of Nats last year, and it's funny that it's still doing super well. Or, did well enough to top. So shout out to Dakota. And that is it. That is it. What's the runtime? What's the runtime on this bad boy? Just under 50 minutes. Look at that. 17 decks all the way through it. So hopefully that this was fun. This helped you out. You saw some cool decks you didn't see otherwise. There are a lot of decks to look at, so there's that. Once again, I do highly recommend looking at the not the deck builder, the meta tracker on DBS Decks. Great resource if you want to find a good Toa deck, and you can just go here, boom. Here are 5 decks. It's based on also what event they're at. And you can go from there. So you can, look, what did Isaiah run? Let's go there. You can go look at it. and say, okay, cool. Oh, they're running 4 Vegetas. Never mind, I can't run this deck. But I think it's a great deck and deck resource, and can help you really just find a starting point for making your own decks. So that's going to be it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. This was a bit of a slog. Hopefully, you check out any of the links I put in the description. I should have all of them that are necessary there. I don't think I have anything else. This was fun to look at all these different decks. It was really encouraging to see how this big old pie chart here to see how many people played, with different decks. So that was really cool, and I think that's going to be it. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.